If you would like to wait here, I shall inform Mr. Best of your arrival.
Thank you so much. This is Mr. Best's beautiful, modern, Victorian, state-of-the-art gentleman's residence. It's built here in Haden Hill Park, which is near Old Hill.
Would you like to take a seat in the library?
That would be wonderful, thank you. I could get used to this Victorian lifestyle. George Alfred Haden Haden Best inherited the Hayden family estate, including the Old Hall, in 1877. He'd grown up in the Old Hall with his two sisters and unfortunately didn't have particularly fond memories of his childhood. So as soon as it became possible, he had this beautiful Victorian house built where he lived along with two adopted girls and were actually the only family to live in this house. The room we are in now was Mr. Best's library. He enjoyed nothing more than spending his evenings with a glass of whisky and reading his favourite books. Mr. Best didn't marry, but he did adopt two local girls, a young lady called Alice and another young lady called Emily. They came from local families and were still able to go and visit their families as and when they wanted to. But by coming up and living here with Mr. Best, they were given the opportunities they probably wouldn't have had otherwise. It appeared that Alice was a very accomplished artist and was able to indulge her hobby because Mr. Best could afford to buy the materials for her. And Emily proved to be quite a competent photographer, and we do have some of her photographs here. This is the oak room. This was the room that Mr. Best used as his dining room and was often found to be hosting lavish dinner parties where the servants would have had their work cut out to keep on top of the activities of the evening. These days, it's a room that we use for a lot of different purposes. It's actually our wedding room. It's a room where we have our activities as part of our events programme. We've been known to have Punch and Judy shows in here. It's also used as part of our schools programme. This is the housekeeper's room. The housekeeper traditionally had her own sitting room or parlour, and this was no different in Mr. Best's house. And from here, she went about her daily business of running the house, buying the supplies and ensuring the female servants were carrying out their duties, such as cleaning, washing and tidying. From here, the housekeeper could see the tradesmen, delivery boys and visitors arriving to the back door. She could also keep a sharp eye on the servants, but were also close enough to the family parts of the house if she was required. This is the stable block. The stable block stands at the rear of Haden Hill House and is quite a large building, but this actually isn't uncommon for stables. Part of this building was used as the coach house where Mr. Best would have kept his carriage. The upper part of the larger building was used for storage of hay and other items of gardening equipment and materials, and also was home to some of the family pets, such as rabbits and guinea pigs. The stable block was also, of course, home to Mr. Best's horses and possibly other animals at the time.
Afternoon to you, sir, ma'am.
Oh, how delightful. That will go down a treat with my cake.
Will that be all?
It will, thank you so much. As I said, this lifestyle would suit me. The room we're in now is the drawing room, or otherwise known as the withdrawing room. That is because after people were entertained to their evening meal downstairs, the ladies of the party would withdraw to the drawing room. Up here they would have spent some hours chatting amiably, playing cards possibly, and a little bit later the gentlemen of the party would come and join them and would enjoy a sing-song around the grand piano, sometimes going well into the evening. Two of Mr Best's servants were both young ladies. There was Anne Millington, who was the housemaid, and another young lady called Hannah Bird, who started off here as the chambermaid and would have been responsible for looking after the bedrooms, making sure they were fresh and clean and tidy. And she was very fortunate to go on to be the cook in the house. They would have shared this room, but able to make it their own. They would have had some comforts in here. They were fortunate enough to have their own jug and bowl to have a wash with in the morning. They had a warming pan which would have been filled with coal and then put under their bedclothes and moved around to warm the sheets, so they had a nice warm comfy bed. They wouldn't have had a long time to be asleep, as their duties would have made sure they were up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. They wouldn't have returned to their room probably until the rest of the household had gone to bed and all the clearing up was done, which could have been late. It could have been 11, 12, even 1 o'clock in the morning. They were fortunate enough to get a day off a month, in which time they were allowed to go out and visit their families. After Mr Best's death in 1921, the house unfortunately was let go into quite a bad state of disrepair and had to be extensively restored and refurbished in the late 80s, early 90s as part of the Manpower Services YTS scheme, where a lot of young men came along to learn a skill. The house now is under the guardianship of Sandwell Museum Service, which is part of Sandwell Metropolitan Borough Council. Haden Hill House Museum is now a well-loved, well-used community resource, hosting a variety of events and activities throughout the year. It is keenly supported by the Friends of Haden Hill Estate, whose invaluable support, work, enthusiasm and loyalty enables us to do what we do. The staff here at Haden Hill House Museum are also a credit to the museum service.